All right, let's get this book review started. So, today we're going to do The Nickel Boys by Colson Whitehead. Another book I have a physical copy of because I got it for class. Um, doesn't make it makes it it's a really good book. So, we'll get there though. Some cool things about this book. This book has awards and stuff like that, so it's probably going to be good. Um, it has Colson Whitehead has really good writing, just solid prose, and it is super super clear that he is well practiced in the craft. Um, there are good characters in here. Elwood, in particular, is he's the protagonist of the story. Him and I think Turner is another one we get a perspective of. I don't want to spoil anything in case people want to go read it, but they're both really solid characters, and I really enjoyed reading how their tales intersect and what happens with them. Um, there is a twist in this book. There's actually, when we discuss a lot of these books for class and stuff like that, what we like, what we don't like. Um, there was a part in this book for a long time. Well, it wasn't a long time. It happens in the third part. Um, I want to say without spoiling anything. There's a thing that writers do sometimes where they will, especially I've seen it in more traditional fiction more than I've seen it in stuff I normally read like fantasy. But a thing will happen where they will time skip ahead to the person in adulthood. So we basically, and we'll still be flashing back to the childhood, what the main events going on, and that happens in this book where we go through. We kind of focus around this one time frame with Elwood, and then we jump 20, 30 years into the future, whatever it is, and see him now before the events of the past conclude. And normally I absolutely hate when writers do that because it takes away a lot of the stakes of the story, right? It's like, okay, well, we know that they're here, so what's the threat of this book now? There's a really clever thing that he does that made it go from something I was like, I can't stand this, I don't know why he chose to do this, to by the end of the book I was like, he is a genius. I can't believe I doubted him for not for doing that. It's really cool and I really enjoyed it. This story is based on true events too. It is based about a real reform school. I mean, it's not the events in the school. I think it's like the Nickel Boys Academy. It is not the real school, but it is based on things that actually have happened. Obviously fictionalized. So that makes it all the much, more impactful to read. It deals with a lot with the way these reform schools treated young black boys, and the way unfortunately our society has treated young blacks. And it's it definitely hits the feelings. It definitely gives you perspective, and likely it might make you uncomfortable, and I think that's a good thing. We can't always be in our comfort bubbles. We need to get out and explore, and it's something that I think that a lot of us don't do because, obviously who wants to be uncomfortable? But I think it's really cool, and it's really something that can benefit you and make you, be able to realize other people's perspective. And I think that's one fantastic thing about writing, especially when things are written well like this, that it helps you walk in another person's shoes, right? Like when we read, we go into this character's head. on the road with them. We're not just like, we're kind of looking over their shoulder, but we're also kind of in that spot with them, going through these experiences with them. And I think that's fantastic. And I think that reading diversely is really important for us, right? There are a few parts in here that I feel don't really add to the main story. I know there's one chapter in particular. I think it's cool to have in. I don't even know if I say remove it. I think it's a cool chapter, but there's one chapter that doesn't even deal with like the main plot of the story. It's just kind of a side piece. That doesn't mean it's not supposed to be there. It's just one thing that was like, eh. And again, like, as much as I love the twist, and I still really think it's cool, it did pull me out of the story a little bit when we jumped into the future, and I didn't know what happened in the current time, and I was really invested in what was going on then. So that was a little bit of a moment that I was like, oh, okay, I want to know what happens next, right? Still super cool, and this is still a really great book. It's definitely something I recommend to people, especially if you like reading diversity and reading different perspectives other than your own. This is definitely something I recommend reading. And also, especially if you're like a writer, one thing I found in a lot of fantasy series, and I'm sure I'll get to reviewing some of those as we go on. If you want to be a great writer, like we're not talking about just reading, we're talking about writing now. If you want to be a great writer, you cannot stick in your comfort zone. You have to experience other things that are outside of your comfort zone. You have to look for other writers and things that aren't necessarily your perspective on the world. It's something that I know can be hard sometimes, especially in the fantasy scenes. It's kind of dominated by white men, so it's harder to find other perspectives. They are there if you look. And if not, then, step out of your normal genre, read some other stuff, get perspectives that you're not comfortable with, because if you want to write a diverse cast of characters, you need to understand cultures and strife and other things that other people go through besides just yourself. And I think books like this are a great step for you if you're looking to get that. Obviously, this is not a read this one book and everything will be fine. But, reading books like this helps us get that understanding, and that's really important for writing. So that is going to be it in this book review / little writing talk. So I will see you guys next time.